Good morning, YouTube. Actually, the people that watch this channel on YouTube itself can kiss my fourth point of contact. And any of you airborne paratroopers, y'all know what that is. And for you non-airborne personnel types, your fourth point of contact, well, as we used to say, you have your 5 points of performance when you land. Balls of the feet, calves, thigh, buttocks being number 4, and the push-up muscle. Those are your 5 points of contact. Fourth point being your buttocks. So YouTube can kiss my fourth point of contact. Along with Facebook, Instagram, and all these other left-wing socialist communist media sources that truly are hypocritical in what they believe based on their actions and what they're doing. Well, what do you mean, old soldier? They're making money hand over fist. And they're not sharing it with anybody but themselves. That's a capitalistic society. That goes against all that social bullcrap they talk about. Oh, wait a minute, why? Because they want other people's money to help these little BS programs that they come up with. Yes, I said that out loud, and I said it proud. But anyway. And then they want to censor everybody that, don't want to support their candidate for president. That's right. If you try to say anything against Joe Biden or kooky Kamala Harris, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, whatever the heck it is, and I don't know all the others that are out there, they trying to shut you down. Even this platform, known as the YouTube, does the same thing. Especially when you give them facts. Because it hurts their feelings. And specifically right now I'm referring to the fact that everything that I've been reading in the news this weekend about this whole thing with Hunter Biden and his laptop and the dealings his dad had when he was the vice president with Hunter's business contacts. I don't know. I think maybe Joe Biden needs to be a little worried right now about his future, or what little of it's left. As we all know, the man's senile and suffering dementia, and who knows what kind of meds and drugs they got him on to even keep him half level-headed when he talks to people in the public. Not to mention that he gets very defensive when you bring things up about his son and his own business dealings that his son got, introduced him to. Go figure that one out, boys and girls. Go figure that one out. And the reason I bring that up is to say this. There was a local news reporter that she just brought the story, mentioned it to him in an interview, and Joe Biden just tore her apart. It's like, it's a lie, it's not. And of course he's going to blame Rudy Giuliani and call him Trump's henchman. Rudy Giuliani's his own man. Mayor of New York City. You don't get to be mayor of New York City without being your own person. Just saying. Because when you're the mayor of New York City, you might as well say you're the president of a small country. Let's just call it what it is. New York City is not some small hick town. It's a major metropolitan city, whose population is as large as some small countries around the world. Okay? You figure they've got a police force the size of at least 2 army divisions. Light divisions, but divisions nonetheless. Okay? Why? Because of the population that they have to protect. And honestly, with the size of New York's population, the size of the New York City police force is actually, in my opinion, too small for the task at hand. That's just me. But there again, It's up to the city of New York, the people of New York, to determine how large of a police force they need or they won't. But anyway, Rudy Giuliani was the mayor of New York City, elected as a Republican. Very hard thing to do in New York City. And with that, I'll end it there, Rudy Giuliani. I'm just think it's funny that all Joe Biden can do is call Rudy Giuliani Trump's henchman. But folks, November 3rd, it's right around the corner. If you haven't gone out and voted yet, I encourage you to go do so. Go vote in person. Go vote in person. I was reading an article in Florida. Yeah, the Democrat mail-in votes, got quite a few of them already in. But the in-person Republican votes, I say Republican, I got no love for the party, but the majority of everybody I know that's conservative are Republican, a handful are independent. I got one or two friends that are Democrats that are conservative. How I can put the two in the same sentence, I don't know, but their actions speak louder than their designated political affiliation, let's put it that way. Long story short, the number of in-person Republican voters is outnumbering the number of mail-in Democrat voters so far with the early polling in Florida. But you won't hear that on the mainstream media. Now, I'm not saying that this thing's won, because right now the polls, you can't believe the polls. You look at the last election, the polls were up and down and all around, and you know, at the end of it, they were predicting Hillary Clinton was going to be the outright winner, and it didn't happen. But a pollster or a political analyst that analyzes polls, a guy named Frank Luntz, used to do a lot of the stuff on Fox News when they would poll certain people. And from what I gather, he's not a Democrat, but he's not a Trump fan. I care one way or the other how he votes. But he came out and stated that if Trump wins this election, his profession as a poll analyst is in question. Well, I would say that to say this is that the mainstream media has gotten into a bad habit of only polling the people that they want to hear from. I'll say that again. The mainstream media has only got to the point that they're polling people that they want to hear from, in hopes that it'll get everybody else to either not vote or change their vote. Whatever the case may be. And if they do call you and you give your opinion opposite of what they're really wanting to hear, chances are they don't record your data. I'm speculating here, but I've gotten called 3 times this year. One by a Democratic polling agency and 2 Republican. And the moment I told the Democrats who I was supporting, okay, thank you for your time, sir, click, they didn't want to hold me on anything else. And then I get the text messages. Oh my goodness. They're blowing my phone up left and right. In one liberal campaigning organization, we expect your support in helping Vice President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win the White House? No. Well, why not? Because I already voted for Trump. Oh, okay. Sorry to bother you. And then, it's just... So, with the polls, folks, you got to take those with a grain of salt. But again, though, I wouldn't say that this thing is won hands down yet. Another news article I read stated that most Americans are going to accept whoever wins the election regardless. I don't buy that one yet. We'll see. Like I said, I still got a prediction that on November 3rd, all you know is going to break loose one way or the other. If it doesn't, I'll be glad it doesn't. But that's just my biggest fear, is that all you know what's going to break loose. And it's going to break loose with a vengeance. With everything that's going on. So, but I also went over some more of the debate this weekend, just going back and looking at the reruns of it and certain things. Give President Trump some props. He stuck it to Joe Biden on more than one occasion. I think he's going to come off a little stronger on certain other things. I would have loved for him to really sunk his heels in, or sunk his spurs in on the whole Hunter Biden and pedophile accusations. That's another one, folks, that, Rudy Giuliani claims that he's turned over copies of the hard drive off that laptop to the Delaware State Police. So I'm anxious to see what the Delaware State Police are going to do. And I'm just wondering if they're keeping this under wraps until after the election because of political pressure. I would hope not. I would hope that if they see evidence that warrants Hunter Biden to be arrested, they would go and get a warrant and snatch his butt up and start asking him about these things that are on there. Personally, I think he's guilty of sin and needs to face prosecution. I think his dad ought to be arrested for treason and charged with using political office for personal gain. Just saying. But that's another thing. Forget the commentator was mentioning it, but another way of putting Kamala Harris into the White House without having her properly elected is if the event Joe Biden does win the election, he becomes removed because of these investigations, and by default, because she's the vice presidential nominee, takes the office. Didn't think about that one, but now that you think about it, that's another way of having Joe step out of the race or step out of the White House and letting her take power. I think it's just another plan the Democrats threw out there, because honestly, if you think about Joe Biden right now, I think the man's barely holding it together. If you watch any of the rallies he's been to, there's hardly anybody shows up, nor Kamala Harris. Now, some of them they state is done for the purpose of social distancing. I don't buy that. I don't buy that one bit. Okay. When this whole virus was in full swing, they were going into crowds of people and no big thing. Now all of a sudden they're playing the game. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out, but I really hope that the Delaware State Police does a very thorough investigation, and I hope charges are filed against Hunter Biden at that level. And I'd really like to see what the FBI is going to do with Hunter and Joe and their dealings with the Ukraine and Russia and China. And who knows where that may lead to. Because apparently one of those dealings Kamala Harris is involved in. Another one supposedly involves Chuck Schumer. I wouldn't be surprised what it goes back to the former President Barack Obama to some extent. again, why he wasn't thoroughly investigated after giving that billions upon billions of dollars to Iran. I'm still wondering about that. Why he hasn't been brought in and interrogated on that. Just because he was president? No, I don't buy that. I don't buy this crap that it was money that was theirs that we held, was owed to them. No. And they did what they did to our embassy. All their assets they had here, they rightfully lost. Not to ever get back. So that's another one that needs to be investigated thoroughly. That's why I'm hoping when President Trump wins a second term, he will put his Department of Justice to work in investigating all these things. That's my hopes. Will it happen? I'm not sure, but those are my hopes. Because another one, when George Bush, the senior, passed, there was a part of the funeral where these packets were handed out to all the former presidents that were in attendance. There was one handed to his daughter-in-law, Laura Bush. She read the card and showed it to her son, Jeb. And Jeb went from an expression of honoring his father to an expression of shock and concern. It really makes me wonder what was on those cards handed to everybody else. I'd really like to be a fly on the wall when those conversations were being had. But anyway, now I'm speculating on stuff. But anyway, folks, it is Monday and the start of a new week. Y'all be careful out there. Be safe. Until tomorrow, God bless. Take care. Soul Soldier out.